Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching and please like and subscribe. The small space station orbited silently above a distant, icy planet. Inside one of its dim corridors, Alex sat alone, staring at the flickering lights of his apartment. Space had a way of making everything feel small, especially humans. Alex had been alone for years, ever since his last mission had gone wrong. He had friends, yes, but they were scattered across the galaxy, and calls were rare. Mostly, he had silence, and a gnawing feeling that something was missing. A soft chime broke his thoughts. His small terminal blinked urgently. The screen displayed a message. "You bought me, now finish it." Alex blinked, thinking it was some kind of joke or spam. But then the message disappeared and was replaced by coordinates, a docking bay. He frowned. He didn't remember buying anything recently. Not that he could afford it. He rubbed his eyes, thinking maybe he had dozed off at the terminal. Then came the low thrum of the station's transport system. A crate had arrived at his door. It was sleek, metallic, unlike anything he had ever seen. There were no labels, no markings, only a soft hum emanating from within. Alex hesitated. Every instinct screamed at him not to open it. Still, curiosity gnawed at him. With a deep breath, he activated the crate. A soft hiss filled the room as panels slid open. Inside, sitting with perfect posture, was a woman, or something like a woman. She was tall, taller than any human he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly, like the surface of the ice planet outside. Her eyes glowed faintly gold, and her hair floated as if underwater. She wore strange clothing, a blend of armor and robes, glowing faintly along the seams. Alex froze. The woman's eyes met his. She spoke in a voice that was soft but firm, almost melodic. "Finish, or regret." He stumbled back. I don't understand. What do you mean?" The woman tilted her head slightly. "You bought me. You must finish it." Alex's mind spun. Bought? Finish? He had no idea what he had done, but somehow, this creature, this alien, knew him. She seemed aware of things he had never told anyone. And yet, there was a strange calm in her presence, a quiet authority that made him listen. For a long moment, they stared at each other. The crate hummed softly, almost impatiently. Finally, Alex forced himself forward. Okay, what do I need to do?" The woman, Lyra, as she later told him, smiled faintly. Her teeth were perfectly even, small and sharp. "First, trust me." Before he could ask another question, alarms blared. Red lights bathed the apartment in an angry glow. Alex's communicator crackled. "Station security alert. Unauthorized cargo det. CTED. Intruder attack imminent." He glanced at Lyra, panic rising. "What do you mean intruder?" She stood calmly, her glowing eyes scanning the room. "They want me? You must protect, or fail." Alex had no choice. He grabbed a nearby tool, a plasma cutter, and rushed toward the door. The corridor outside was already filled with figures moving too fast, shadows darting in the flickering light. Alien scavengers, maybe armed with jagged weapons that reflected the red light. They moved with predatory precision, like a single organism. Lyra followed, her steps light but assured. She didn't run. She didn't panic. And yet, Alex noticed, every time she moved, small sparks of energy flickered from her fingertips, enough to stun one of the scavengers temporarily. Alex realized quickly. This wasn't a random attack. It was a test. And somehow, he was part of it. "Follow me," Lyra said, her voice commanding now. "You, use this." She gestured to the plasma cutter in his hands. But before he could react, she extended a hand, and Alex felt a strange hum in the air. The lights of the corridor dimmed, then glowed in patterns, almost like instructions. He followed her guidance instinctively, and together they cornered the first scavenger, sending him retreating into the darkness. Alex's heart pounded. Who are you? Why me?" Lyra's eyes softened, just for a moment. "I am part of program. Humans, chosen, for trials. You, finished, only if, survive." "Survive what?" Alex shouted over the alarm. Lyra didn't answer. She simply led him to a junction where several more scavengers were approaching. She whispered instructions, pointing to vents, shadows, and weak points in the corridor. Alex followed, each step guided by instinct he didn't know he had. The next few minutes were chaos. Plasma sparks flew, metal clanged, and the shadows moved with terrifying speed. But Lyra's calm presence, and the subtle guidance of her powers, allowed Alex to make choices that kept them both alive. Finally, the corridor fell silent except for their heavy breaths. Alex slumped against the wall, gripping his plasma cutter. That was insane. What are you? Lyra approached him, slowly, deliberately. She studied him, her glowing eyes assessing. You, human, capable, more than, thought? Alex shook his head. I don't even know your name. Lyra, she said simply. You must remember. Lyra. And, trials, not finished. Alex frowned. Trials? What trials? Lyra didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached inside the crate and pulled out a small, glowing device. It floated gently in the air, tethered to her hand. Next, trial, harder. You, obey, survive, or, fail. Alex swallowed hard. And if I fail? Lyra's eyes darkened. Fail, not choice. The weight of age. Her words hit him. This wasn't a game. This wasn't some strange experiment in curiosity. Something much larger than him, much older, had brought this creature to him. And now, his life, and hers, depended on completing whatever trial came next. Alex looked around the small apartment, then at the crate from which Lyra had come. He realized that everything had changed in a single moment. The quiet loneliness that had defined his life was gone, replaced with danger, mystery, and responsibility. He took a deep breath. Okay, I'll finish it. Lyra's eyes softened slightly. Good, human. Begin, now. The next moments passed in a blur. Alex followed her instructions, moving through the station's dark corridors, avoiding traps, and fighting off scavengers who seemed to appear from nowhere. Each step taught him more about himself, his courage, his instincts, and his ability to trust someone completely unlike him. And Lyra, she was calm, almost serene. But every so often, Alex caught glimpses of something deeper in her expression. A flicker of curiosity, of something like admiration, maybe even concern. He didn't understand it fully, but it made him feel responsible. After what felt like hours, they reached a maintenance bay. The scavengers had been repelled, at least for now. Alex sank against a console, exhausted, bleeding in a few places, his hands trembling. Lyra stepped beside him, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. You survive, first trial? Not easy, but needed. More coming. Alex looked at her, confused. More? How many trials? What are they? Lyra didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at him with glowing eyes, almost studying him. Then she whispered, barely audible over the station's hum. You, chosen, for more than humans know. Finish, only wait, understand. Next, step, not safe. Alex's heart pounded. He realized the depth of what he had stepped into. This wasn't just about survival. This was about something far bigger, something that involved aliens, human courage, and perhaps, the fate of his very soul. The camera, if there were one, would linger on Alex's face, a mix of fear, determination, and curiosity. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the beginning of a story that neither of them would ever forget. And in the crate behind him, Lyra's eyes glowed softly in the dim light, as if waiting for him to rise to the challenge. The small shuttle rocked gently as it drifted through the void, tethered to the remnants of the damaged space station. Alex sat in the pilot seat, hands still shaking from the adrenaline of the last battle. Beside him, Lyra floated, her glowing eyes scanning the shuttle's instruments. The first trial had been terrifying, but it was nothing compared to what came next. Lee. Ra's soft voice broke the silence. Next, trial, memory link. Must, touch device, together. Alex turned to the small device she held in her hand. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Memory link? What does that mean? Lyra hesitated, then her eyes met his. See, my past, understand, or fail. Alex swallowed. He didn't like the sound of it. Touching some alien device that linked their minds could be dangerous. But he also knew there was no choice. If he wanted to survive, and help Lyra, he had to obey. He reached out slowly, placing his hand on the device. The moment his skin touched it, a sudden surge of light engulfed him. His vision blurred, and the shuttle seemed to vanish. He was somewhere else, inside Lyra's mind. He gasped. He saw vast landscapes, towering cities of crystal and metal, and skies swirling with colors he had no names for. He saw beings taller and stranger than anything he had imagined, all moving with grace and precision. And then, he saw Lyra, not as the woman in the crate, but as a child, training, learning, growing, surrounded by others who were cruel, dismissive, or judgmental. He felt her fear, her loneliness, her longing for someone who would see her for who she truly was, not just as a product or a tool. "You see, now?" Her voice echoed in his mind, soft but urgent. Alex nodded, though no one could see him. I understand. You've been through so much." Lyra's thoughts brushed against his, curious, almost fragile. "And you care? Why do you care? Humans are weak?" But Alex's heart tightened. "I care because you're not weak. You're amazing. Stronger than anyone I've ever met." Her mind lingered on his words, a strange warmth flowing through her. He realized, in that moment, that trust was forming, not just for survival, but something deeper, something that neither human nor alien had expected. Then the vision changed. Alarm sirens blared, even in his mind. The shuttle's sensors flashed red. A rogue AI aboard the station had activated old defense drones. They were closing in, even on the drifting shuttle. Alex yanked his hand from the device. They were back in reality, and the shuttle rocked violently. He grabbed the controls as Lyra's glowing hands hovered over the console, guiding him. "They cannot stop us. Combine human and alien." Alex hesitated for a split second. Then he realized what she meant. Using both human ingenuity and her alien knowledge, they could override the drone system before it destroyed the shuttle. He flipped switches, rerouted power, and issued commands. Lyra extended her hands, sending pulses of energy into the shuttle systems, bypassing security protocols. The drones outside fired, metal streaking past the windows, but the ship moved like a ghost through the barrage. Finally, with a final surge of energy, the drones were disabled. The shuttle stabilized. Alex slumped back, exhausted, sweat streaming down his face. Lyra floated beside him, calm once more, though her glowing eyes revealed her concern. "You survived, again," she said, almost softly. Alex turned to her, a mix of relief and disbelief in his eyes. We did it. Together." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled, a genuine, soft smile that lit up the small shuttle. "Yes, together. Finish, now, you may keep me." Alex blinked. "Keep you? What do you mean?" Lyra's glowing eyes softened even further. "You completed trials. You trust, respect? Now, bond, human, and alien. No longer crate or program. You may choose." Alex felt a rush of emotion. The loneliness that had defined him for years, the fear, the uncertainty, it all melted away. For the first time in his life, he felt like someone had chosen him, just as much as he had chosen them. Slowly, he reached out, taking her hand. It was warm, alive, and more real than he could have imagined. "Lyra, I choose us." She nodded, a faint glow rippling along her skin. "Then, human, you? My mate, my partner, my family." For a long moment, they simply held hands, drifting through the stars. Outside the shuttle, the universe stretched endlessly, a silent witness to the beginning of a bond that no one, human or alien, could break. But the universe, as always, was not silent for long. A faint shadow flickered across the shuttle's monitor. Alex frowned. "What's that?" Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly, her glow dimming to a protective hue. "Watcher, distant. Not friend. But not now. Safe, for moment." Alex nodded. He realized the journey was not over, that challenges would come again. But for now, they were together. And that was enough. They began to speak softly, sharing stories, learning each other's worlds. Alex told her about humans, their struggles, their dreams, their fragility. Lyra shared memories of her alien culture, their harsh expectations, their beauty and cruelty. They laughed, sometimes cried, and always learned. Days passed, though in the vastness of space, time seemed to stretch. Alex and Lyra became more than just human and alien. They became partners, equals, and, slowly, something more. One evening, as they floated above the icy planet below, Lyra rested her head on Alex's shoulder. "You understand now? Humans, not weak, stronger than many imagine." Alex smiled softly. "I think I understand you too. Strong, amazing, and maybe even a little stubborn." She laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "Yes, stubborn, necessary, survive, and thrive." For a long while, they simply watched the stars. Silence was no longer lonely. It was comforting, and in that silence, a promise formed. Whatever dangers the universe might send, they would face them together. Suddenly, a soft chime sounded on the shuttle. The monitor flickered, showing the faint outline of a vessel approaching. Not hostile, yet, but curious. Alex and Lyra exchanged a look, hearts beating faster. Another trial? Alex asked cautiously. Lyra smiled faintly, her glow brightening. Perhaps, but, together, ready. Alex nodded. He felt a surge of confidence he had never known. Let's face it, together. And so, the shuttle drifted on, carrying two unlikely companions, human and alien, bound not by ownership, but by trust, respect, and something far deeper. The trials of survival had ended, but their story and their bond had only just begun. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a canvas for the adventures to come. And in that vast, lonely universe, Alex realized something he had never thought possible. He had found home, not in a planet, or a station, or even in humanity, but in the glow of a companion who had once been a mystery, a challenge, and now, a wife. End.